right, welcome to the HGR Digital Asset Podcast, where we interview thought leaders in the crypto and blockchain space. Today, we're excited to have Jerwin Operio, the CMO of PearlPay, and Dr. Adrian, the CFO of PearlPay. Thank you guys for joining us today. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, thank you for having us today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Right, so we're just going to start off basic, and a question for you guys. Can you give us a short rundown of your backgrounds and experiences and how you really got into crypto in your personal lives?
Okay, so basically, I'm a businessman here in the Philippines. I do a lot. I do a lot of agri farm business, tech business, and recently, last year, when one of the co-founders approached me to look into blockchain. That was like 2 years ago, and then I saw the potential of Bitcoin. I saw the potential of there's Ethereum that time.
Right.
And basically I read the white paper. Then last year, 2017, we created one white paper for PearlPay, and we had some business tycoons here in the Philippines who check on the business plan, who check on the marketing plan, who check on the financial plan of the company. Then some lawyers here check on all those documents. Then they gave us the go signal. So that's the, I think that's the.
Yeah, how you
That's
got
the-
into
yeah.
it. Right. Do you have anything to add, Adrian?
So this is an introduction, right?
Yeah, just,
Okay. Thanks for having me here, Addy. My
Yeah, no
name's
worries.
Dr. Adrian Nang. My nickname's also Addy, which is a singular A. So I started knowing about crypto since I think it was around 2016, 2017. My cousin who was into it, I think they were still on the dark web, and then the one Bitcoin was worth around $100. Blockchain wasn't even yet the word yet. It was all about Bitcoin. There was no other coins yet. So they were buying and selling it because it was a novelty item. And then I keep on hearing about it, so I studied and researched it while I was still in med school. I'm a doctor by profession. So after a few years, when it came crashing, when the ICO ban happened in China, all the market dropped, and then my cousin and my friend started selling their coins. So it got me interested again in the Bitcoin, and I started researching more about it and wanted to know how to buy because it was very difficult at that time to buy. It was a really niche market. Only a few people knew about it, right? So until around 2-3 years ago, when the ICO craze started happening, my other friends also introduced me to these ICOs, and we invested in a few ICOs. For example, QuantSnap and Ink Protocol, and we kind of earned a bit because and then that's how I learned how to look at an ICO profile with its potential. It's not, but then but around November last year, the craze started peaking so much that you don't need even to think. You just put the money anywhere and then you just wait for it to grow. It was that crazy. And then we got burned as well afterwards, right? And I think a lot of people got burned. But then throughout the process, I learned a lot about crypto. I loved it. And then I even went to a couple of blockchain conferences in Singapore and Japan. So that's me in the crypto world.
Right. All right, thanks guys. Okay, let's move on a little further about your company basically. So could you describe a bit about what PearlPay is and the problem you're really trying to solve in your company?
Okay, basically the problem here in the Philippines is that the banking system is kind of fragmented here. So we have rural banks who doesn't have online banking, who doesn't have ATM support. They don't even have e-money. Okay, so that's one of the things we are trying to solve. Second is PearlPay is doing some research on remittance. So last two months ago, we had a conversation with a top management in one of the biggest bank here in the Philippines, and they told me that Canada is the third biggest remittance country. So what the problem is, the money is, let's say for example you have a family member in Canada sending money here in the Philippines, the money will float for 6 days. So with the use of blockchain, we can solve it through in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
So that's one of the things we are solving. ProPay
Right.
is solving.
Sure, yeah. Anything to add?
So, like what my friend Jerwin said, the banking industry here is fragmented. For one thing, if you and it's really not in par with the capacity of the Filipino people here because there are more smartphones than people in Mega Manila. Um, People who can't afford a smartphone have a smartphone. They know how to use a smartphone, but they can't even have. But most of them don't even have a bank account. They don't read. They don't. They're having a problem sending money, receiving money. So, so you can see the disparity there. So there's a gap there that we can fill, and a lot of people are trying to fill it. For example, in 2017 during the Bitcoin craze, in the Philippines alone, there were able to get 4 million people to subscribe in coins.ph alone. And 4 million, more than 4.5 million. For example, the two biggest banks in the Philippines, BDO and BPI, has like 1 million each online. So they beat those two biggest banks online. So you can see that people are transitioning to smartphone. They can. So, but there's still a gap, right?
Right,
So
right.
that, yeah.
Sure. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are predominantly based in the Philippines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
But we have partners right now that after we launch the ProPay,
Sure, yeah.
we'll be opening in 7 countries.
okay, nice. Okay.
So yeah.
All right, so slight technical issues, but number 3, again, getting back to you, Jerwin. Do you feel that the Philippines has sufficient technological infrastructure and know-how to be receptive of the product ProPay is putting out, and why or why not? You feel?
Okay, based on our research, the Philippines is very much capable of this kind of technology. Also, the blockchain has a future to adapt. Okay, there's a lot of, like, let's say for example, there's a Grab here in the Philippines. Taxi. There's a lot of taxi hailing companies. There are also e-payment platforms that are emerging here in the Philippines. And basically, what we think is the Philippines infrastructure is capable enough for this kind of technology.
Right.
My answer will be yes and no. No, right now, because we don't have the sufficient technological advances as we do have in a developed country to support a system like this. But yes, we are actually right now, it's a perfect timing because of the third telco is coming here in the Philippines by next year. That will increase competition and lower rates and increase the availability of internet access to everyone. In terms of adaptability for learning or know-how, well, you can cite the example of the Filipinos when when texting was a thing before. We became the texting capital of the world. When cameras in the phone became popular, we became the selfie capital of the world, right? So we can definitely become the mobile payment capital of the world if that's
Sure, yeah.
that's happening.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Another big idea is this idea of partnerships, really. So how can you convince rural banks, especially, to partner with you?
Okay, so I can answer with that one. We have already talked with the Rural Banking Association executive director personally, and they loved our product because what we're doing is we're kind of becoming an aggregator. We're not aggregator in the sense that we are not using our own brand. We are actually using the brand of the banks itself. Okay, so it's kind of like when you look at in China, what they did was they were competing with MasterCard and Visa, right? And then they came up with Union Pay, and then in India they also had RuPay. So in the Philippines, there's nothing like that yet, but we can do it. It's like Pearl Pay.
Right, right.
So we're giving power to the banks itself. We're not offering them the brand of ProPay. We're actually putting in powered by ProPay.
Right, right.
So something like that, the rural banks they love because it eliminates the trust issue. Because the most important thing about money, lending money, credit, debit, prepaid, it's trust. Do I trust you? Right. And then definitely, the rural banks have been around here for like 10, 60 years. There's trust. That's why they're in operation for such long, and giving them power, giving them accessibility, that's easy.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, you guys are relatively.
Can I add
Yeah,
something
sure.
more?
Go ahead.
So the Rural Banking Association, a lot of people, a lot of blockchain comes to the Rural Banking Association every day because it's just here, it's just in Manila. And another thing that validates our business model is since they love our idea, we have been accepted to be one of the sponsors and presenters in the Rural Banking Association of the Philippines symposium that will happen in October or November.
Yeah, correct.
In
October.
October. So they only accept around 4, maximum of 5 speakers there. The Rural Banking Association cannot directly sponsor it, but once that you're one of the speakers there, it actually indirectly says that we accept you.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, from what you guys are speaking of, you guys definitely have significant market power in this Philippines market, especially. Do you think any companies in particular are your competitors, so to speak?
There's a lot of competitors here in the Philippines, but none of them are willing enough to white label the product.
Right.
So that's the blue ocean strategy here.
Sure, yeah.
We are white labeling all the mobile wallet, all the online app, everything, and we have this partnership with a telco company that will give us the opportunity to give rural banks internet access. So imagine if you're in a rural area here in the Philippines and you don't have data, just turn on your 3G, then
Right,
connect to
right.
our Pearl Pay app.
Yeah, definitely.
So it can help a lot of people here in the Philippines.
Right. Yeah. All right. Are there any legacy incumbents which you're really trying to displace with your company, ProPay?
I don't understand the question, sorry.
I think it's just this idea about how are you really. I mean, it doesn't sound like it. Sounds like you guys are more in a different, unique place, right? And the purpose of your company is a bit more niche and a bit more unique as compared to you trying to displace someone from the previous generation.
So we're since what Jerwin was saying, this is a white label product. We're not really actually displacing or trying to
right.
fight with any
Yeah.
incumbent or big companies here.
Right.
Though definitely we're trying to fight with the big banks here, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Because we're giving power to the smaller banks, the smaller guys. So it's like it's like an advocacy that you're giving power to the small guys to fight the big guys.
Right.
Because they're the only ones who can afford this MasterCard, this Visa. The small guys can't afford. We'll give them something else. We'll give them something local. We'll give them something local, cheap, but free, but technologically advanced.
Right.
So
Basically, what Pearl Pay is doing is Pearl Pay is empowering all the rural banks,
Right.
all the non-bank financial institutions. So let's say, for example, they have clients. Their clients can now do online banking.
Right.
Okay, which is a system or an infrastructure that is very expensive for a rural bank to create.
Right.
So based on our research, a rural bank would take around $4 million and 2 years to develop an infrastructure.
Right.
And what we created is we created that white label.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
So we're actually, when we're trying to displace these big guys, we're making a co-opetition, as our CEO would say. We're not really competitors with each other. We're actually cooperatingly compete
Right.
to fight the big boys.
Yeah. So looking more towards the future, how do you see ProPay progressing in the short and kind of longer term, so around 5 or 10 years from now or so?
Okay, Pearl Pay right now is partnering with the universities, non-bank financial institutions. We created a POC, a proof of concept, with one of the biggest pawn shops here in the Philippines.
Sure.
Basically, our future is we want to create an ecosystem wherein people can deposit their money in a local sari-sari store
Right.
or a local convenience store. They can use that money to buy in a MasterCard affiliated merchant.
Right.
So that money sent abroad, that account can receive money from abroad.
Sure. Yeah.
And can also receive crypto, can also receive different currencies. So that's what we are looking right now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Adrian? Or
So, like all startups, in the first few years, it's still going to be capital intensive because we're not really looking at revenue in the first few years. What we're looking for is growth. That's the number one priority. That's why we're here in one of the colleges speaking, and that's the first aim, like what Jerwin said, the universities, the pawn shops. So in the first 5 years, what we'll be aiming is growth, just growth.
Right.
The revenue will come. The revenue will come later. And in 10 years, once we have established enough growth, and then there's enough market, we captured enough of the market when people will use it, then we will expand to a different, more on different financial products, such as more advocacy actually, such as in 10 years from now, one of the plans to provide life insurance.
Right.
Provide life insurance for those that need them, accessible and cheap,
Right.
and a few more products.
So, I mean, one element of the growth you're talking about is really educating these people on the
Correct.
space as a whole.
Yeah.
And with that comes with many challenges. So, what do you guys feel is the greatest challenge in really educating people on distributed ledger technology and blockchain and crypto and things to do with that, along with things to do with your bank and I mean your company?
Okay, we studied one of the business case way back 2012. We're in one of a telco company partnered with a rural bank in
Sure, yeah.
in Mindanao, and one of the major problem was the trust. Okay, people don't trust to put their money on their mobile phone.
Right.
Okay, but they trust their bank. So basically, what we'll do is first to create that trust, wherein you put money on your mobile phone,
Right.
and your mobile phone can transact
Sure,
the
yeah,
transaction. Okay. Second is one of the good things here in the Philippines is that we are very most of the people are tech savvy. Okay, there's a lot of smartphones. Based on one of the articles we've read, there are 105 million smartphones. I mean, phones here in the
yeah.
Philippines. So yeah. So basically, second is to educate them how to use their e-money, their virtual money. Third is we're also doing a prepaid card.
Sure, yeah.
Wherein for those people who don't know how to use the mobile phone, they can use the prepaid card. So basically, Pearl Pay is also backward compatible. So it's not just mobile app.
Right,
It's
right.
also we also have the prepaid card wherein people can put money on their card, then swipe it on their merchants.
Right, definitely.
I think one of the greatest challenges in educating people on distributed ledger is because of what they already know about it. Then what they generalized about it is they think of it mostly as scams. Definitely for those people that have invested early in 2016, 2017, and felt the burn this year. They felt it's majority of them as scams. So that's one of the most challenged. And one of the other things is probably what they love about it as well is its volatility. It can go up, it can go way up so fast, but it can definitely go down way down really fast.
Yeah.
So what we did with this, knowing this type of challenges, is what everyone wants actually is to be regulated, right? Everybody wants to be regulated, not overly regulated, but complying with a set of regulations that will make you legitimize your company. And that's what's happening now in the Philippines. They're actually very forward-thinking. They already showed a set of notice and guidelines for ICOs to be registered as security tokens. And having seen that, we are actually going to comply with them because what they already wrote there is actually what we're actually planning to do in the first place.
Sure, yeah.
But since there's already a guideline there, and then we're just waiting for it to be released, it will actually make us very appetizing to those institutional investors. They won't be as risk averse to us as now.
Right. Sure. Any final takeaways you guys want to mention?
Pearl Pay is, we are doing ICO right now. You can check out our website at www.pearlpay.io. You can also join our Telegram group at Pearl Pay. And so Pearl Pay is basically a virtual money logistics system wherein we interconnect different institutions, different rural banks, different pawn shops, or different non-bank financial institutions, sending money, receiving money, and basically doing remittances, paying your monthly bills, paying on your local merchants. Yeah.
The coin, the ProPay coin, is actually from it's a Komodo-based platform. So we're using Komodo technology. Komodo has one of the most sophisticated white papers that I've seen. They used Zcash for its anonymity, and they used Bitcoin's proof of work. But actually, what they did to make it faster is they used delayed proof of work. And then they have this patented, I don't know if it's patented because even Ethereum's founder, Vitalik is trying to copy Komodo's atomic swap.
Yeah.
You know atomic swap, right?
I have heard.
Yeah. So whatever Komodo's opening up, it's already incorporated because we are a side chain. We are not a fork. We are a side chain of Komodo. So that makes it very unique.
Sure.
In a way.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Jerwin. And,
Thank you,
Adrian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adi?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you again for our listeners for listening to HER's Digital Asset Podcast. Please stay tuned for more food for thought, and hypotheses from thought leaders around the world. All right. Thank you.